It was. There's a kind of double sadness for me because, most of us, certainly with me, I seem to have known of him, he and Valerie, his wife, Ashford and Simpson. Of course, we've known of them for years. So when I met them both in New York to do this, the new album of mine, it was so fantastic. They were the sweetest couple, I can't tell you. And the enthusiasm and the love that they still have for music. They even had their own club, and they sing there and introduce new people, and I went, and it was just fantastic. So my dream was that I would get to know these people better. In a week, you only get to sort of superficially know people, but there's a feeling that they're special, and I thought they were special, and I was so looking forward to going ahead, because I go to New York a lot, and they're not very far away from my apartment, just a couple of blocks walk, and of course my dream was I'm going to get to know them, they're going to be friends of mine, and it's been the briefest of encounters, but it was interesting for me because normally you know people and their talents, but when you meet them you're convinced of it. And I was definitely convinced of both their gifts. They are very gifted people.
And as you say, an amazing relationship. I mean, stretching for more than 4 decades. They met in 1964 in a New York church.
And it comes across that way, and that's the thing that gets me there. The humanity of both of them was just absolutely wonderful, and they made me feel instantly at home. I would have done anything. In fact, funnily, of course, Nick was not well then, but I had no idea that it was this dangerous. I know people don't always like to share that they are suffering with cancer, and they didn't. And it was fine. Now I look back on it, I think myself, they were probably dealing with it in their own particular way. I just thought Nick had some polyps removed from his throat, and that he was going through a period of not speaking, which he didn't. But even without him speaking, his humanity that's what got me. It was so, I just loved them both instantly, and I was, as I say, looking forward to enjoying much more of their time. And even coming home, thinking of the tracks they had done for me, I thought, well, there's another direction I can go with them. And so I'd even got this selfish thoughts going that I'd like to work with them again.
Were they writing new material for you, or were you planning to do some of the classics?
We did all new material with them. The album is 15 tracks, and only 4 are oldies. But with them, they had written a couple of the songs.
This is a bit cheeky, but I don't suppose you could give us a flavour of any of those, could you?
Oh, well, hang on. The song that they wrote with Michael McDonald for Roberta Flack and myself. It's a ballad. Oh, no, I swear I didn't plan it this way. But seeing you there just takes my breath away. I mean, it was such a dream to sing. I can't tell you, Roberta Flack, and I can't still. This album for me has been a dream. They're part of that dream now because I'm singing with these names that I've just admired, and I've got their records on my CD players and things. But this was a nightmare wake up this morning because it was such a shock. I mean, had I known he was that sick, of course, one could almost be prepared for something like this happening, although you always wish for the best. So I woke up to a terrible shock.
And a shock to, presumably, also the death of Jerry Lieber of Lieber and Stoller, and his songs must have meant so much to you as a young performer.
Absolutely. When you think of what they wrote, because they were there at the birth of rock and roll, really. I mean, they're the ones that probably gave or helped Elvis get his feel for what he was going to do. I mean, they almost were the reason why rock and roll took the shape and the form that it took. And, I mean, I have written songs, of course I have, but there are going to be writers, like Ashford and Simpson and like the Beatles, who are going to look back and think, I'm writing because of these guys, and I'm sure that would be true for most of them. It's a double shock, but as I say with Nick, it was just that I had just got to know him, and he was my age, and we were both saying, hey, this is great, we're the new 35-year-olds. But, in his case, it wasn't to be, but it's been a sad day.
And which song of Nick Ashford's will you remember as one of those new 35-year-olds?
Oh, no, I'm going to remember the ones they've written for me. I mean, they wrote a song called Birds of a Feather, which I sang with Peabo Bryson, and they wrote When I Was Your Baby, the bit that I sang badly for you then. So I'm going to remember that, but I'm never going to forget that they wrote Mountain High.